I'm going to explain why I'm making a fool of myself speaking English even though I'm not a native speaker. I was born and raised in Guadeloupe, a Caribbean island where everyone speaks French just like Martinique or French Guyana. But I made a promise to myself to start an English podcast in 2026 even if I'm not fully ready yet. Because in this episode, I want to show you something important, that showing up online doing something you don't master yet is actually the best way to grow and overcome the fear of taking action. So today, I'm very proud to welcome you to my first imperfect English episode. Hello, and welcome to my first English podcast. I'm so excited and honestly a little bit scared too. For the English speaking community, I'm Judy, but everyone calls me Leo, which means lioness. I'm a French 100-meter hurdlers. That's hard to say in English. 100-meter hurdlers athlete, and I'm also a podcaster. My content is all about mindset, psychology, and a bit of neuroscience. In clear, I help your future self grow and learn how to hack your brain toward the life you want. So let's jump in. The first part of this episode is about why I decided to create an English podcast. I have loved English since I was a child. I started studying very young. I cannot even explain why I love this language so much, maybe because my name is English, but I truly believe speaking English expands your life experience because the language barrier disappears. And that's why I decided to step out of my comfort zone even if I'm not ready and not bilingual yet. To be honest, I use tools to work on my fluency and I ask ChatGPT to correct my translations so you can listen to a clear episode. In this way, I learn real idiomatic structure, and here is my message for you. Do not wait to feel ready because you take actions, because waiting too long is the real risk. Most of us want everything to go exactly as we imagined, and that mindset is what keeps us stuck. You will never be 100% sure. You learn by acting, you grow by moving. Experience is what helps you choose the right direction and set your goals. First of all, ridicule is the entry price of mastery. We think looking ridiculous is embarrassing, but in reality, it is the mandatory entry point of every evolution. Everything you admire today, an athlete, an entrepreneur, an artist, they all went through the ridiculous phase. The phase where you do not have the vocabulary yet, the fluency yet, the perfect posture yet, but you show up anyway. Because your brain hates uncertainty. When you speak a language you do not master, your amygdala turns on. This is the center of social fear. So you feel rejection, judgment, embarrassment. But what your amygdala calls danger, your prefrontal cortex calls learning. In other words, ridiculous is just your brain rewriting itself. And every time you show up despite the fear, every time you stumble in English, every time your accent feels too French, something powerful happens inside your neurons. You build a new version of yourself. Every time I sound ridiculous, my brain builds a new version of me. And this is not only about language, it is a universal process. It applies to every part of life. But let us be honest, what holds you back today is not actually ridicule, but it's the fear of judgment. We all want to inspire, but nobody wants to be seen while learning. What blocks you today is your attachment to approval. Your reptilian brain is programmed to look for group acceptance because in ancient times being excluded meant dying. But today in the digital area, that survival reflex is obsolete because in 2025 your social survival does not depend of conformity, but it depends of visibility. And you cannot go far if you keep hiding. You cannot go viral and stay invisible at the same time. So yes, looking ridiculous in public feels uncomfortable, I get it, but it's also the rite of passage. For anyone who decides to live with honesty and courage, every awkward moment, every public mistakes, every mispronounced word is the slow death of your old version. The one who wanted approval at all costs. The one who creates without asking permission. The one who learns publicly. The one who dares to be seen while becoming. Ridicule is a doorway to freedom, and here's what I learned. Ridicule is not an humiliation, but is a liberation. When you stop being afraid of looking stupid, nothing can stop you anymore. Every stumble, every mistake, every hesitation is a proof that you are evolving. Because at that stage, you don't need a world to exist anymore. You don't need to be perfect to feel legitimate. And that is a real power. Being able to show yourself in construction without shame, without mask, without excuses. In psychology, we call this cognitive desensitization. The more you expose yourself to judgment, the less it affects you. Your nervous system learns that what you fear is not deadly, but just uncomfortable. And discomfort is the training ground of freedom. Ridicule is just your ego detox. It is a mental suite of shading hold protection mechanism. So every time you show up, you burn another layer of fear that used to keep you small. And in the end, this is not a story about English. This is a story about expansion, speaking another language, daring to look ridiculous, daring to be wrong. It is a metaphor for life. Choosing to be seen in your unfinished version, because courage is not perfect actions. Courage is action. Anyway. And if I can make a fool of myself and still show the process, then you can too. Not necessarily in English, but in the dream that still scares you. Because the truth is, ridicule has never destroyed anyone, but waiting has. Ridicule does not take away your credibility, but it removes the fear that's kept you from building it. And from that moment on, you become free. Free to try, free to fail, free to start again. And above all, free to live. And that's why I'm making a fool of myself speaking English on the internet. Keep in mind that ridiculous is not a weakness, but it's a passage. Every time you allow yourself to be seen in your imperfection, you gain a new level of inner freedom. This is not about English, this is about expansion. If this episode spoke to you, share it with someone who is still holding themselves back, and tell me in comments what fear still stops you from being seen while learning. Take care, and I will see you into the next one. Ciao, ciao!